The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Andrew Burnap, great dude. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, babe.
Rachel Zegler just can't catch a break, and at this point, she might be her own biggest enemy. After Snow White bombed at the box office, the drama is far from over. Now, rumors are swirling that even her own co-star Andrew Burnap is pointing fingers and blaming her for the film's epic downfall. And that's just the beginning. After years of delays, controversies, and internet outrage, Disney's Snow White finally hit theaters, and it flopped hard. Before we dive into how things started unraveling, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're into deep dives like this. We break down the biggest stories in entertainment without the fluff, just facts, receipts, and a bit of chaos. And trust me, you're gonna want to see how this one ends. In its second week in theaters, Snow White suffered a record-breaking 66% drop, making it one of Disney's worst-performing live-action remakes ever.
The Snow White remake is now one of the lowest rated films in IMDb history. This is such a poor reception for a Disney princess movie, and I'll be surprised if it even has a 1-star tomorrow because the bad reviews keep pouring in by the second.
That's even worse than Dumbo, 2019, which was already considered a massive failure. Critics hated it, audiences avoided it, and Snow White is now one of the lowest rated Disney films on IMDb history. Some critics called it soulless, while others slammed its lack of charm and forced modern messaging. Even Disney's own fans were openly bashing the movie online, calling it a disaster and a complete joke. And the worst part? Many fans are blaming Rachel for killing any interest in the film before it even hit theaters.
I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film.
You want to trash that legacy? That company that now Disney has screwed up the last 5 years trying to please a small percentage of minorities in America? Yeah, we're sick of it. So the more you do this, Disney, Zegler, whatever her name is, yes, this is exactly the backlash you're going to get from parents who have kids who are your customers. You're supposed to win parents over. You're talking to kids, the parents pay for the tickets. You have to be a dummy as a marketer. If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what? Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're going to bring another person to play this role because you just screwed this thing up.
People pointed directly to her press interviews, tone, and attitude toward the film and its legacy. You'd think being the face of a legendary character like Snow White would inspire some humility, but instead, Rachel gave the public plenty of reasons to be skeptical. So what went wrong? Let's break it down. One of the biggest reasons for the backlash? Rachel's own words. During press interviews, she mocked the original 1937 classic, calling it outdated and trashing the original love story. But what really set people off was when she called Prince Charming a weird stalker. In one particularly viral clip, Rachel was asked about the film's new direction. Her response? She laughed, then said, "We're not doing that old story. She's not waiting for a prince, she's leading her people." Fans were outraged.
So apparently Rachel Zegler is suing Disney Studios for wrongful termination and also discrimination. I literally don't understand what's going on. Rachel just needs to sit down. Like this says, rumor has it, Rachel Zegler might be suing Disney and others for canceling some of her Snow White press tour due to all the controversies. Bro, before the movie even came out, she was talking about how she wants to bring up the woman in this movie and how there's not going to be a prince. And so I understand, like, Disney saying, like, you did so much in this press tour that did not help us in any way and actually negatively affected our movie. So, I mean, honestly, it does kind of make sense.
The original Snow White is a beloved Disney classic, and hearing Rachel tear it apart felt like a slap in the face to many lifelong fans. And it wasn't just casual moviegoers who were furious. David Halehand, son of the original Snow White supervising director, slammed Rachel's comments as disrespectful to what Walt Disney and his father created. He said the remake felt like it was destroying something beautiful. The backlash was so bad that Disney reportedly forced Rachel to backtrack and issue a public clarification. She later insisted she loved the original movie, but by then, the internet had already turned against her. People weren't just upset by her disrespect for the classic, They were bothered by the arrogance.
Oh, so no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie, Andrew Burnap, great dude. It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Instead of celebrating the legacy, Rachel seemed to be stomping all over it. And it wasn't just the original film she threw shade at. She also made things extremely awkward for her co-star, Andrew Burnap. Andrew was set to play the prince in Snow White, but Rachel was quick to downplay his role. During an interview, she flat out said that his character wasn't important to the story and that all of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Yikes. Andrew, who originally believed Snow White would be his big Hollywood break, suddenly found himself sidelined before the movie even hit theaters. Many fans felt Rachel was actively sabotaging her own co-stars, and even Andrew himself seemed to be caught completely off guard. Behind the scenes, insiders claim Andrew was furious about how the film was marketed.
This was all documented on Rachel's friend's Instagram account, where she filmed herself shouting Rachel's name as it appeared on screen in a near-empty theater. Now, this all started a trend of people filming themselves seeing Snow White in theaters, and in almost every video, the cinema is almost always empty.
Wow, people love me.
He reportedly believed he was playing an essential role in Snow White's story, only to find out, along with the rest of the world, that his character had been reduced to almost nothing. Sources close to Andrew revealed that he was so disappointed by the experience that he's been avoiding discussing the film altogether. In interviews post-release, he's been tight-lipped, only giving vague answers when asked about the controversy. Insiders say Andrew felt blindsided and humiliated. Not only was his character dismissed in public, but he also had to deal with the embarrassment of appearing in a project that had become a PR nightmare. But Andrew wasn't the only co-star Rachel clashed with. Oh no, the feud with Gal Gadot was even messier. During the Snow White press tour, Rachel posted a political statement on Twitter supporting Palestine. Now, here's where things get tricky. Gal Gadot is Israeli, and she's been outspoken about her support for Israel. Rachel's poorly timed tweet ignited a firestorm, leading to serious threats against Gal and forcing Disney to step in. Insiders revealed that Disney executives were furious that Rachel was bringing controversy to the film right before release. To make things even worse, Gal and Rachel reportedly had zero chemistry behind the scenes. At the movie's premiere, Gal actively avoided Rachel, skipping the European press tour altogether. Sources close to the production claimed that Gal was professionally distant with Rachel, and some even speculated that she regretted signing on to the film altogether. Photos from the press junket told the full story. Body language experts even weighed in online, noting how Gal kept her distance and avoided eye contact. One viral clip showed Gal walking away mid-conversation when Rachel tried to engage her on stage. At this point, Disney executives were panicking. Their $270 million movie was on the verge of collapse, and Rachel's endless controversies were only making things worse. Behind the scenes, they reportedly held emergency meetings on how to handle her.
$70 million on the film, the studio opted for a small LA premiere held Saturday in the middle of the day with limited press. Zegler greeted children dressed as Snow White. She was not at Disneyland on Sunday, where Gal Gadot promoted the film, surrounded by children dressed as her character, the Evil Queen.
At one point, the movie's producer, Mark Platt, was even flown out to New York to try and get Rachel under control. But every time she made a statement, it seemed to dig the hole deeper. Disney even tried to quietly edit out some of Rachel's more controversial statements from online interviews. But at that point, the damage was too big to cover up. They even considered delaying the film again to give time for the drama to die down, but contracts were locked, and marketing was already underway. Scrambling behind the scenes, the team brought in crisis PR experts to run damage limitation drills. The result? A mess. Rachel couldn't be reined in. Every apology came across as insincere or scripted. Every clarification led to more confusion. In the middle of all the drama, Rachel decided to take on Donald Trump and his supporters. She went on a full-blown rant on Instagram saying, "May Trump supporters, Trump voters, and Trump himself never know peace." And then she kept going. She called Trump's followers a deep sickness and ended with a bold "F Donald Trump." That was the final straw for Disney. A huge part of Disney's audience is family-oriented, and alienating an entire political demographic was a massive mistake. The backlash was immediate, and conservative audiences called for her to be fired. Executives desperately tried to contain the situation, even hiring a social media consultant to force Rachel into damage control. She eventually issued a public apology, but at that point it was too late. Now that Snow White is in the rearview, there's buzz that Rachel Zegler's Hollywood runway is quickly shrinking. She's reportedly been dropped from multiple casting shortlists, with producers afraid she's become too polarizing for mainstream audiences. Even big studios that once praised her as a rising star are now steering clear. One insider said, "Her name used to be a green flag. Now it's a risk." Casting directors are also wary of her difficult reputation on set. Several crew members anonymously described her as demanding and challenging to work with, adding to the growing whispers that she's not worth the drama. Even merchandising took a hit. Disney allegedly scrapped planned toy lines and brand deals tied to the Snow White remake after early backlash exploded online. After one of the biggest flops in Disney history, countless controversies, and burned bridges all across Hollywood, is there any way for Rachel Zegler to come back from this? Is Disney going to quietly replace her and move on, or is this just the beginning of an even bigger fallout? One thing's for sure, Hollywood has never seen a downfall this fast. Rachel Zegler went from being the next big thing to the next big problem. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to check out the next video for even more shocking Hollywood drama.